Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is Smash Our Stash. For April, we are talking about brads. Those of you who have been around and doing this a while, you have brads in your stash. Maybe you have little tiny basic ones. Maybe you have ladybugs or bunnies or fabric ones. They may be something that you've forgotten you have. They may even be something you try to give to your friends and they give back to you. Those of you who are new to this is one of those times when I say, just because I have something, don't buy it. Brads were sort of the predecessor to the amazing selection of sticky embellishments that we have now. Before we had enamel dots and all the other stuff. So brads have a lot of variety, but you can get almost everything that is a brad as a sticky item too. I'm not a fan. In general, I don't love brads, and I'll give you some tips for using them up, or maybe you've been given some as a gift and you're like, what do I do with these? But I did have fun making stuff. I did this sort of like TV watching, crafting here and there. I had this trash to treasure junk journal bit, and I just added some metal brads to it. That's a big star, and then right there, those are the brads. So sometimes it's hard to tell when you look what is a brad, but for this video, I didn't break the backs off at all. I used them as brads, and I can talk to you about that at the end if you haven't seen me do that. Then I had these big blue felt pieces. These are self-adhesive, and obviously when I go to stick them on, I'll just pull this off right around the back of the brad. And I had some fabric brads, so I put the fabric and felt together. I thought that was really fun, and I liked it. I could see these on a journal page, for sure. Because I make art journal pages, journals, junk journals, mini albums, cards. I don't need all my embellishments to be small, but the really large ones usually take me longer to use. This will fit on any project I make. I also had this piece. I think this is crayon broken up. I glued some tissue paper down on it, and that gave me this little stripe. And then I had a bunch of die cut bits of flower petals. Some of them were already die cut, some of them were die cut at that moment, just layered them up, and I put a flower in the center. Many of us have made flowers and used brads for the center. It's a really nice way to hold it all together. They don't all go through the back. To hold all the layers together, you can let them spin and arrange them, and it just gives it some dimension. If you want your projects to be flat, then you want to assemble your flower and then glue it on. This one, it was right near the edge, and for reasons I can't understand, I punched it through. No big deal. But if I was going to use this for a pocket in a journal, I would strategically arrange this so this wasn't right at the top and it wasn't catching all the time. Then I have a whole bunch of bits like that where I have put pieces together, but not glued them to anything yet, just so I can have them for later. So let me show you some of these. And again, all of these centers are brads. So you might have bling in your stash that has the cute metal border around it. The older ones were usually brads. Then I'll show you that in a little bit. I've got just a paint smush circle that I did. This one is a black brad that has words on it. I prefer to just buy these as stickers now, but again, this one was a brad. Some paint smush and also packaging for candy and a whole bunch of little layers. And on my flowers, I don't worry too much, like that little die cut has a nick out of it. Yeah, that's fine. Add some interest. This one it kind of turned out cute, didn't it? It's just a lot of different variety in the sizes, and I put a star on the back, so it has some iridescent sparkle coming out the back. And I can layer these on card fronts. I can use them in clusters on journal, all sorts of things. Whatever, anything you would use a small embellishment for. Here's another way that I used a brad. This is a little envelope to put into a journal and write in. And instead of decorating it with stamps or other things, this is an actual brad. It looks like an old-fashioned button, but it is a brad. These are adorable brads. I love this kind of brad, but I would just prefer they were sticky backed. And then this one is just a little black brad. And again, I made some flowers, inked the edges so that this one has a little different style. This one is just a giant die cut, and I wanted a dragonfly on it. And you can see I just hole punched it and put my dragonfly. And I'll probably come back with some glitter or one of my pens and, add some little embellishments. I just wanted you to see that it doesn't just have to be flowers, right? That was my idea. I love stars, so of course I have Brad's stars. I mean, who doesn't have red glitter stars in their collection? This one I wanted to show you. It's this thing. If you have items in your stash with circles like that, punched in them already, that's just a fun offset item to add to a cluster. This one, I chose these items and put them together solely based on color and fun. I colored this a long time ago and had it floating around. This is a paint smush. These are both Brad's, and then the little yellow guys are Brad's also. This little cluster has 5 different Brad's on it. Then butterflies. Are you into butterflies? Oh, I am. What I did was I fussy cut these butterflies out of a sheet of scrapbook paper, and it was from Simple Vintage Cotton Fields from Simple Stories, and they were just butterflies like this on a page. I cut them out and I punched holes right down their bodies, kind of like a caterpillar, and put Brad's in there that matched. If you wanted more of a rainbow effect or a crazy effect, you could use Brad's with bling. You could use Brad's that weren't matchy-matchy, whatever you wanted. I curled the butterflies up a bit, and I used my white gel pen to add some accents on these two. Just fun embellishments with nothing but a piece of scrapbook paper and some Brad's. And I will definitely use these. You'll see those on the journal page soon for sure. Same idea here. Somebody gave me these butterflies, might have been Andrea, and I just put 2 right there on that butterfly body, and these are just layered up die cut butterflies. This is wrapping paper. That's what these holographic stars are. And then one of you lovely people sent me little hearts cut out of a book page, and I thought that was a fun look to use some book page text and a little flower. I just grabbed things and put them together. This is a die cut that I got from Tanisha K, and I didn't have any vellum handy, so I layered it with a piece of deli paper in the back, and then just popped one little Brad right in there just to add some dimension and get your eye to pop to it. And I did have to kind of twist the Brad to line it up behind that thing. So I had a little trouble. Right before I glue it on a page, I might have to adjust it. That's another thing with Brad, right? Brad's, you have to fight the back of it and the dimension. You want to really smush them down flat. Don't bang on them because you'll chip your coating or whatever you have. This is just a fun little cluster that I made to go in a journal. A layered up flower with a Brad in the center, some music note washi tape, a couple more copper colored Brads, and some sheet music, and then these fun stickers. I can't remember who sent them to me, but you sent them to me in Happy Mail, and I was super excited. So far, I've only used one. Now, these are a little different. For these, I did not use a hole punch or need a hole punch or a needle or anything. I'll show you these up close, and then I want to show you what they're made out of. You may have these items in your stash. Now, you know how I feel about pink, but oh my gosh, how cute are these? How cute are these? These were fabric flowers that I had. And then the very center part right there, the gold, is a sequin. So I have a tiny Brad and a sequin. And then these were from a paper collection that many of you may have. You might have these items in your stash. And I put a floral Brad in the middle and then these little pink Brads. So let me show you what those look like. It might have been Maggie Holmes. I can't remember. But I have a bunch of these. And honestly, they're not that cute. I don't really just want to glue them on a page like this with a Brad or some bling in the middle. Really makes them cute. I didn't have the orange flowers. I liked the orange better to give it some pop, but I didn't have orange flowers, or at least didn't have them with me. I was traveling. You might have some of these in your stash too. That's what this item right here is. They're these stars that have the holes in them. And I just popped that Brad right through and glued it down. And then look at these little beauties. So those made these. So I just wanted you to see the different ideas, and whether you have a vintage style or you love bright colors, it doesn't matter. You can make any style. There's not a certain theme or look that you have to have. And you don't have to have any flowers. You could not like flowers and still use Brads, and that would be 100% fine. that's all the stuff that I made and that I have to show you. And I think you saw so many different ideas in here. Just grab small things and start layering them up and see what happens. I just want to show you a couple ideas on how I do these. And one of the things I don't like about brads is you can only put them as far as your punches go. So that's why when you make your flower cluster, usually you make your flower and then glue it onto the page, because then it can go anywhere and you're not limited by the length of your punch. The one with the purple handle is tiny, and it is best for the small brads. If you use a punch that's too big, then your brads will move around and they could get sloppy looking. So if you take one of these tiny brads and you put it in this hole, it's going to move all around and the hole might show. So if you have it, you want to use the small one. You could also just use your punchy tool, pokey tool, whatever we're calling it. That would work just fine. If you don't have a tiny punch, I wouldn't run out and buy one. You could also use a needle. You know, you just have to jiggle it around a little. But that punchy tool, I mean, it's exactly the same size hole. And if you already have something like that, and it doesn't have to be this one. Some of you have the spellbinders, maybe whatever you poke out your die cuts with. I'm guessing I have this punch because 100 years ago when we used a lot of brads, I bought this. I hope that that inspires you to get the brads out of your stash and use them. And if you don't have brads, maybe this gave you some ideas on how to use bling or embellishments that you already have in your stash, or inspired you to do some fussy cutting and make some fun butterflies. Be sure to check out the other collaborators in Smash Our Stash. I'm sure there are some amazing ideas with brads, and I'm sorry that this ran so long. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.